Heather here with Pinwheel in the Wind, and today I have Megan from Slow Days Chronicles with us for our mommy chat. I'm starting a series of videos chatting with mommies, answering your questions that you have sent in about mom life, struggles, pros, cons, things like that. So speaking of which, if you have any questions that you have, leave them in the comments below and we'll make sure to answer them. But today's question is all about being a young mommy. The pros, the cons, how does that come about? And so today we're just gonna dig right into that with Megan, who got married very young and became a mommy by our society's definition, very young. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. It's fun.
And first of all, tell us about your journey into motherhood.
Yeah, totally. So my husband and I got married when I was 18, and we found out that we were pregnant 9 months into marriage, and it was really unexpected. We were super excited, really happy, but just not super prepared. And so I was already 19 at that point, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. So then I had my daughter when I was 20. I had just turned 20, and we really had to kind of just roll with it because we were expecting to have many years of being a young newlywed couple, and it just changes things when you have young babies. So yeah.
So you became a mommy at 20.
Mm-hmm.
What's the rest of your family story from there?
So when she was 7 months old, I found out I was pregnant again, and we actually ended up miscarrying, and it was pretty early. I think after that loss, it really propelled me into realizing that I wanted another baby, and even though I didn't completely feel like prepared because our goal was to wait like 3 years, I was just kind of like, oh, I really wanted that baby, and so then we just tried to have another baby, and I got pregnant with my son Caleb, and my daughter was 11 months old, I think, so still pretty close together. When my son Caleb was 10 months old, we found out we were pregnant with my third baby, and then when that baby was a year old, we found out we're pregnant with this baby. So boom, 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 very back to back, and every baby has been so incredibly rejoiced in and loved, and we're super excited. We haven't always had like the biggest support because we're so young and we did it so close together, but honestly we love it, and we're it's fun and it changes things in your life, but we're happy with it, so it's good. Yeah.
So you had babies back to back, boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
You had your first one at 20, so that makes you how old with how many kids?
24. I'm 24 right now, and my fourth is due in 3 months.
Okay.
So I will have four and under before I turn 25.
Wow.
So
yes. 4 kids, 4 and under before you turn 25.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Wild, yes.
But in our society, at least here in America, that would be, I feel like people would like look down on that a little bit. Can you tell me about that from your experience?
Yes, I get a lot of people asking like, oh, is this your first? Because I look pretty young as well as being actually young. And I just laugh now because it's always so awkward to like be in the grocery store when I happen to not have all my children with me, and they're like, oh, you're so cute, is this your first baby? And I'm like, no, actually it's my fourth. And then they immediately get like, okay, wow, well, you have your hands full. And it's like their attitude changes immediately when they hear that I have 4 babies instead of just 1. Like, 1 is more accepted for some reason. So yeah, I do feel like for the most part there is a little bit more negativity, A lot of people will come up to me when I do have my children, and they'll make these comments like, your hands are so full, wow. And I'm like, well, yeah, better full than empty, right? Because I want to be positive. I want my kids to have that view of like, you are wanted and loved, and like I wouldn't do without any of you guys,
Right.
So yeah, so I think here it is a little bit more negative, but I don't want my kids to feel affected by that culture. I want them to feel like it's positive to have babies and stuff. So yeah.
And you feel like it is.
I do. Yeah.
And so when people do like kind of like Oh, you have 4? I've never been 25? What,
Yeah.
like, I know you said you kind of laugh a little bit and play it off, but like internally, are you just like, hate is gonna hate? Or like, how do you process that?
I think in the beginning, probably when I was pregnant with my third, I felt a little bit insecure about it. And just had to kind of put it out of my head. Now I'm to the point where I'm just kind of like, I can't let myself care about that because I have a job to do. I'm taking care of all these babies and I actually want all of these babies here. So, you just have to work through that journey of like being secure enough in yourself to understand that once you get to 4 kids, like you can't really just pretend like it's not on purpose, or you're with a big family now and I'm accepting it and loving it, so yeah, I wouldn't say that has always been easy to come to that place in myself, but now I'm just kind of like, it's the season that I'm in, it's good. So yeah.
So let's lay it out there. What are the pros and cons of becoming a mom so young? I feel like in America especially, people are going to look at that and only see the cons.
Sure.
So what are the pros and what are the honest cons? Because there are honest cons too.
Totally. Yeah, so for the pros, for me, I think I have a lot more energy than someone, and not saying that I'm not tired. This is the season that I'm in, 4 babies, 4 and under, and I haven't even had my 4th yet, but there's lots of lack of sleep and lots of cups of coffee.
I can only imagine.
So yes, I am tired, but I do think that like my body is physically able to like do this maybe better than someone, not better, but in a different way than someone that would be in their mid-30s or whatever. Like you're in a different season when you're in your 30s than you are in your 20s. So I do feel like I have more energy. I'm enjoying it more. I'm still in the season of like living in the moment kind of. So then I feel like I'm able to really, as much as I can, hone in on those times with my kids. Like, this is so fun. We're doing this craft right now. And instead of just kind of letting it slide or like letting the moment pass, I'm still enough in the moment as a young person that I can hone in on those moments with my kids too.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, because you were so young, you were freshly married, you became a mommy at quite a young age, you didn't kind of get caught up in the like, oh, my house has to be clean and this and this and I have all of my ducks in a row and look at our structure.
Yeah.
Like a lot of moms, me included, get caught up in.
Yeah, it's easy too. Yeah.
So like for you being younger, do you feel like that helped with that?
Yeah, I do think that being young has helped me with the structure thing. It's easy to get caught up in that aspect of needing your house to be perfect, and I think for me it went from having one baby was not as difficult to not stress on those things because it's just easier. Like when your child is sleeping, you can take a nap when you only have one of them, but then I remember my son being born and having this realization, like the day after he was born, my daughter woke up at 7 a.m. and needed breakfast because she's on this schedule. She's a toddler. And I just remember feeling like, wow, life keeps going. And then, so having more and more babies made me realize that structure is definitely needed. But being young has made me realize that I think I'm just still living in the moment so much that I can hone in on those moments with my kids a little bit differently than maybe someone that has had all of their 20s to develop a structure of life and a way of living. For me, I didn't have this many years to develop myself as an adult. I just pretty much had babies like right away. So then you kind of grow and change with your babies, and that structure kind of develops as you go. So no.
And so cons.
Okay. I think the biggest thing for me is feeling like I've missed out on some of the classic 20s kind of thing in life. Having babies, and I do think that all moms miss out to a certain extent when you have babies because it changes things in your life. But for me, I didn't really have that. like early college age years, or the times of like all-nighters with your friends or whatever kind of stuff. You know, it's just like all of a sudden at 20 years old you have a baby and that child is completely dependent on you. You can't just like leave them to go to a movie, or you know, those types of things that when you're 20 you can do. You can stay up late.
So you went from high school to wifing, motherhood, everything, kind of just like right then.
Yeah, there was a very short gap between high school and marriage, and then same with the baby. So yeah, I think that I was forced to grow up maybe a lot quicker than some. Yeah.
Which there's even pros and cons to that.
Yeah, of
and
course.
like you said, I think that every mother goes through that to some extent.
Yeah.
I was 26 when my oldest daughter was born.
Yeah.
We moved to Asia, and 3 months after we moved there, someone invited us to go ziplining through the mountains, through the jungle.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I'm like so excited. I'm pregnant.
Probably shouldn't do that then.
Am I allowed to go ziplining? I literally Googled that. Like,
Right.
And so, like, even being older, still kind of a young mom by
Totally,
today's standards,
Right.
but being older, I still was missing out on things.
Right.
But there's also a pro to that in, like, how old will you be when your kids are adults?
Right, so my oldest will turn, we're exactly 20 years apart, so I'll be 38 when she becomes like the legal age of being an adult, which is so young, you know,
So
and
young.
I've had babies so back to back too, like my then youngest will be 14, so like I'm actually going to be hitting that second stage of adulthood a lot sooner than some other people, and that's something that my husband and I have kind of talked about because it's really exciting. Like, what are we going to do when we're like 40 and we don't have any kids at home, or we have like one, you know? It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
Definite pro. Question for you. What is your advice to the girl watching this that maybe she's married, maybe she's not, but she finds herself kind of maybe unexpectedly pregnant and is young and is like kind of panicking right now?
Yeah. I think my first piece of advice is, number one, have grace on yourself, and with yourself, just understand that there are a lot of changes that are going to happen, but they're so beautiful and they're so fulfilling, and it is literally like the best thing in my life that I have these kids, and we're talking about all the things that we've missed out on and whatever, but like none of it even matters when you see your child come up to you with a picture that's like, Mommy, I drew this for you. And it's just like day-to-day heartwarming stuff that's like, you can't put a price on that. You can't put it, you know, it's just so beautiful. And so I think my advice for moms is have grace on yourself to understand that, yeah, your life is going to slow down in some ways, pick up in some ways, and change. But it's good, and it's gonna grow you, and also like practice self-care. I think that's something that I have learned having more babies, that it's become super necessary. But it's good. You can't pour out of an empty cup, and filling that cup is really, really important. So yeah, grace and self-care, I think, are my two big advice pieces.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave this video a big thumbs up if you learned something or just enjoyed it. And like I said, this is going to be a series of videos answering your questions that people have sent in. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. What are some things about motherhood, parenthood, wifehood, anythinghood that you want to have answered? Until next time, bye!